In this video, I will show you the difference between a single frequency test instrument and multi-frequency test instruments. This happens to be a Zetec MIZ-27 instrument that I'm using. This one is multi-frequency, but it's easy to show you what a single frequency tester would look like. So I'm going to acquire some data from a tubing standard. So I'm going to insert my probe into the tube. I'm going to pull the probe back out of the tube. And let's go look at the data. If this was a single frequency tester, all you would have is data from one test frequency. In this case, it's 400 kilohertz. Now, I can observe the phase lag from the 100% through-wall hole, which you see here, and the 60% flat bottom hole. There's a little bit more phase lag because it takes time for the eddy currents to penetrate to the depth of the 60% OD flaw. And if I go to the, I think that's the 40 right there, there's a little more phase lag because it takes longer for the eddy currents to get out there. But other than noticing those differences of phase lag on one channel, I cannot see how this Cal standard and its defects look like on other frequencies, because single frequency test instruments only operate at one frequency at a time. The only option that the operator would have is to reset the configuration on the tester and then test it at a lower or higher frequency. But as you can imagine, that's cumbersome and time consuming. So when you have a multi-frequency tester like the MIZ-27 and most modern instruments, what that allows you to do is acquire multiple frequencies at a time. So this is what the test config looks like. And I have activated in this tester 400 kilohertz, 200 kilohertz, 100 kilohertz, and 35 kilohertz. 4 frequencies is pretty typical for doing heat exchanger tubing exams, because you need multiple frequencies to properly perform phase discrimination and phase analysis. Those are the tools that we use to determine if discontinuities are far side originated or the outside of the tube, or inside diameter flaws in the tube, or whether there are dents in the tube or bulges in the tube, because all of those different discontinuities will act differently between different test frequencies. And that's just something that you will learn by looking at lots of data, and you get to learn how to recognize different patterns between different types of flaws and the different frequencies. So let's switch back to our Lissajous screen, and I've already acquired the data with 4 frequencies. All I have to do to show you what this looks like is to go and toggle on the other channels in the Lissajous. So now, instead of looking at just 400 kilohertz, we're able to look at 400 kilohertz, 200 kilohertz, 100 kilohertz, and 35 kilohertz. And how this is used for phase analysis, I just need to reposition the green one. So the green is 400 kilohertz, the red is 200 kilohertz, the purple is 100 kilohertz, and the blue is 35 kilohertz. Now that's the whole, the signal from the 100% through-wall hole, and it's set to 40 degrees on every channel. That's the way I set it. But watch what happens when we go to the, I believe it's 80% flat bottom hole. Now you start to see differences in the phase. We go to the 60%er, see some differences in phase. It might be a little easier to see if I open the window so you can see multiple flaws at once. All right, let me go back to my data cursor. It's going to be easier if I just zero in on the 20% flat bottom hole for this example. So we're going to shrink our window down, down, down. This is just going to limit the area that we're looking at in the Lissajous. closing my window down to zone in on just one signal. Okay, I'm just about there. Select data cursor. You see the difference in the phase on channel 1, which is 400 kilohertz, and the phase on channel 7? There's a lot less phase lag with channel 7. So based on this and multi-frequencies, this signal rotates counterclockwise as the frequency gets lower. That's how we use phase analysis to determine that this is a flat bottom hole on the outside of the tube. If we were looking at an ID pit, for example, the phase would be very low on channel 1, and as you decrease frequency, the phase of the indication would rotate up towards the 100%er, which is set at 40 degrees. So that's the advantage of using multi-frequency test instruments. End of video.